We are going to be previewing and predicting the Champions League semifinals. It is officially the business end of the season. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get stuck in. So you guys make sure to conjure up your hottest takes, your spiciest opinions, and comment them down below. I think you can make a really good argument that any of these four teams are going to advance to the final, and I'm going to give it my best shot here today. Before we get started, this video is brought to you by SportyTrader. We're going to be using them several times throughout the video. And if you guys want even more tips and statistics for your bets, make sure to go to their Champions League page on SportyTrader.com. Link in the description. We're going to start with Bayern Munich versus PSG because how could I not? I feel like this is the more popcorn, the more cinematic of the semifinals. If you take a look at the odds and how many goals they are forecasting, they would agree with me. I have felt for months that these are the two best attacking teams in Europe, and the numbers support that opinion because looking at them now, PSG and Bayern are the top two scoring sides in the competition, both of them on 38 goals scored, which is ridiculous. And that's why nothing would shock me more in this semifinal than us getting like a 1-0 PSG on aggregate, right? Going back to the numbers, if you look at PSG, they basically score 3 and concede 1 goal per game in the UCL so far. And Bayern Munich do literally the exact same thing. Both of these teams average 4 goals per match, which is wild. Does that mean we're about to get 8 goals or more on aggregate? I don't really know what the odds are for that specifically. Comment down below. I think when it comes to pure goal scoring, Bayern Munich have the best individual player, my Ballon d'Or front runner right now, in Harry Kane. In fact, you might even be able to argue that Bayern have the 2 best attacking players in this tie with Harry Kane and Michael Olise, who was ridiculous against Real Madrid. I mean, he's been ridiculous all season. The guy is a freak. Though I think you could argue Bayern have the 2 best attacking players, I think PSG clearly have the better depth here. And please don't misunderstand me. All 6 of these attacking players, the starters for both teams, are world-class players. That's why I said this is the most cinematic semifinal. If you compare this to what we're about to see in Arsenal versus Atleti, with all due respect, coming from an Atletico Madrid fan, it's just not as juicy. Now, why I'm favoring PSG slightly in this match, because I got to pick a winner, right? Somebody has to lose, unfortunately. For what it's worth, I think the winner of this tie wins the Champions League final as a consolation for anybody who gets mad at me for predicting against their team. I think number 1, Safonov for PSG has been a beast in the Champions League. So if I'm picking a goalkeeper advantage at this point in time of Manuel Neuer's career, who did have a mistake against Real Madrid, but I thought that was just genuinely unlucky, I am giving PSG the edge. Another reason is that in the quarterfinals between Bayern and Real Madrid, there were a lot of counterattacking opportunities for Madrid, and I feel like they rarely took advantage of them. Like, I don't think anybody could have watched that and said Madrid did not generate chances. They absolutely did, but they just don't have an attack that's really clicking. The same cannot be said about PSG. Sometimes the PSG attack, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, Barcola, it's almost like they're telepathically linked. It's a little weird and unsettling at times. And yes, I understand that Dembele himself wasn't the most clinical against Liverpool. He probably should have had 2 more goals than he did. The tie should have been over in the first leg at the Parc des Princes. But we're talking about the current Ballon d'Or winner here. I don't think he has 4 games in a row like that. Special shout out to Jonathan Tah and Upamecano, who I thought were overall really good against Madrid, certainly better than what I expected. They will need to perform exactly like that again if Bayern are going to win here. Going back to my point though, which side do I see is more likely to take advantage of counterattacking opportunities across both legs? It is PSG. I also think in the coaching battle, yes, I'm going to give the edge to Luis Enrique over Vincent Kompany, who I think has done a great job with Bayern Munich this season. Full credit to him. Guys, there's really very few negative things I can say about either team in this preview, but again, somebody has to lose. Not only does Luis Enrique have decades of experience, but he's been there, done that. They're the defending Champions League holders. They know what it takes to win. This Bayern core have no freaking clue what that feels like. I would not underestimate that experience. Momentum is a powerful thing in footy. Sometimes when the momentum gets rolling, the snowball's going down the hill. In this case, it's PSG's Champions League form. It's almost impossible to stop. Lastly, I don't think that Bayern Munich's midfield is going to be able to control and dictate the game against PSG like they did against Real Madrid. Real Madrid, if you've been watching them, it's a good midfield. It's talented, but it's not particularly balanced, okay? We are far removed from Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. This PSG midfield, even with some doubts about Vitinha, is more balanced in my opinion. And I would take them over Kimmich, Pavlovic, and Goretzka, for example. For my predictions here, I think we're going to see a lot of goals. And looking at the odds for total goals scored in the first leg, it is heavily favoring more than 2.5. And in that sense, I agree. The odds are also favoring a PSG victory, and once again, I do agree. I'm a hot take man myself, but not when it comes to this semifinal. And I don't really know if there is a hot take for this semifinal. Maybe the hot take would be like Bayern win 5-1, right, on aggregate. I feel like that's pretty spicy. I think PSG win it at the Parc des Princes. I think it's either a 3-2 or a 2-1. And then away in Munich, we get something like a 3-3 draw. So I'm going for more than 2.5 goals in both matches, meaning PSG win on aggregate 6-5. I think it's going to be a fantastic spectacle. Next up, we have Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal, and let me just come out of the gates swinging here. If Atletico Madrid do not defend set pieces better than they have the entire season, Arsenal will win. Atleti have conceded 9 goals off set pieces in just the Champions League this year. And we all know this is the Mikel Arteta special. I don't know what the odds are for an Arsenal set piece goal, but I would definitely sign up for that because number one, it's just really what Arsenal's offense has kind of leaned on recently. Number two, it's a glaring weakness of this Atletico Madrid defense. And three, I just think there's a little bit of a size advantage basically everywhere, the midfield, the defense, for Arsenal versus Atleti personnel. I hope I'm wrong because I am an Atletico Madrid fan, but I don't think one can just solve set piece issues, right? You can't just take the team into the training center and do an extra set of box jumps and all of a sudden, poof, it's no longer an issue. I personally don't think Arsenal have been as diabolical as some people will describe, though they are kind of dipping in form a little bit at the moment. If you look at the stats in the Champions League, then yes, Atletico Madrid have scored more goals than Arsenal, but you don't get a plus 21 GD by being trash. I'm sorry, you don't. Uninspiring, pragmatic, set-piece merchant? Sure. Trash? Bad? Easy to beat? Absolutely not. The 5 goals conceded in the Champions League is ridiculous. People will poke holes in that and say, well, Arsenal haven't played anybody good in the knockouts. I think that's a little insulting to Sporting. I think they're a very good attacking side, and they couldn't get a single freaking goal. Guess who else couldn't get a goal? Atletico Madrid when we lost to Arsenal 4-0 in the group phase. And let's be honest, Atleti probably wouldn't be on 34 goals either if we didn't play Brugge and Spurs as our first 2 knockout games. Looking at the odds for both teams to score in the first leg in Madrid, and it's a 50-50 split. So basically, go with your gut here. In my opinion, I do think both teams will score. It's going to be really interesting to see how both teams perform after recent, I'm going to call it failure, with Arsenal losing to Man City in the Prem. Everybody thinks the title race is over. They've bottled it again. You know, the Declan Rice, it's not done GIF meme is going crazy on X right now. And then you got Atleti, who lost an amazing opportunity to win another trophy by bowing out to Real Sociedad in the Copa del Rey final on penalties. I mean, it's still something that hurts me thinking about. Who is the mentality monster here? That's a great question because in my opinion, both of these teams are kind of mentally weak. There isn't really a mentality monster. This is not Atletico Madrid from 2015, which is why I think this tie is pretty unpredictable. I do think this is going to be a low-scoring affair based on how Arsenal's games have gone this UCL campaign, and on top of the fact Atleti don't really blitz good teams. 7 against Brugge, 7 against Spurs. Man, Spurs might get relegated. Against the elite teams, and yes, Arsenal are an elite side, it's going to be tighter than that. I also don't know who the most clinical player is. I think this is an issue for both Arsenal and Atleti. If we talk about Julian Alvarez, I freaking love him. I think he's world class. Complete forward. He can score from open play. He can create. He is a free kick demon, so watch out for that as a potential avenue for Atleti to score in this semifinal. But from open play, he's been a little inconsistent this year. Like, he is not certified for a goal. Antoine Griezmann is no longer a primary goal scorer for Atleti either. He's got a handful of goals in the Champions League this year. That's all. He's much more of a creator at this point. And Sorloth has 1 goal in his last 10 games. For Arsenal, you're kind of relying on Kai Havertz, who had 2 amazing opportunities to score against City, and he couldn't convert. Does this mean that Arteta would start Gyökeres in this game? I don't know. Even the wingers for both of these teams, right? Like, there is no Riyad Mahrez, 20 goals in the season type guy here. We're talking about Madueke and Giuliano Simeone, good players. Actually, in terms of strengths, they're kind of similar, but they're not going to be running up the score like that. Ultimately, I'm going to pick Arsenal as the winner here for 3 reasons. Number 1, I think they'll be better from set pieces. Number 2, I think defensively they have much better personnel than Atleti. And number 3, I don't think Atleti, trying to be the team to force the issue, to have the ball, to then have to defend counterattacks, I don't know if they can be good enough over 180 minutes to get it done against Arsenal. I think ultimately they will come up just short. I'm going to go with Arsenal 3-2 on aggregate. I think it's a 1-1 in Madrid, and Arsenal take it 2-1 back at the Emirates. And that is the video, guys. Those are my predictions. So you let me know what you think down below in the comments. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And if you don't want to miss more UCL content here on the channel, make sure you hit subscribe. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.